Hey guys, this is Jorge from the Big Band Podcast. How are you guys doing? Today I'm joined by Maximiliano Contieri. He's the CTO and co-founder of Conversa Lab, a chatbot development company based out of Argentina. Hello, Maximiliano. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. So you guys are based in Argentina?
Yes, we are in Buenos Aires. We are the well. I'll tell you a bit more about the company, but we are working with Argentine companies and many others from other countries.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about your company, Conversa Labs.
Okay, Conversa Lab was founded by me and my partner Andres Auspach. About 2 years ago, we've been through the app development for we've been working for about 3 or 4 years. We had moderate success with development, but we realized app development was coming to was stuck was not going very good. So I've been working with bots a long time ago, and we we took the train of the bot fever, a company in Argentina, because there are no many companies here in Argentina. About 2 years ago, with its unique mission is to make virtual assistants for the business, for the industry.
Okay. I saw in your profile, I believe it's your Medium profile, that you created your first bot 20 years ago. um,
Yeah, that it's about a motto. I'm early. I'm an early adopter. I bought early adopter.
yeah. So what's what's different 20 years ago to today?
Not much. The technology. This is a quote I wrote. I read a lot about science fiction and the classics and the 50s and the 60s books where physical robots were omnipresent, and that was when I was a teen. So I would I had a Commodore 64 and decided to program a chatbot. I read about Eliza. Do you know about Eliza?
Yeah,
Do you want me to tell? It's
sure.
about it's a project from a psychologist in the early 60s. It's the first chatbot. All the people that made chatbots realized that was the first one, and so I decided to create one bot, and it was very stupid. It just made a regular expression match, and I was a teenager, and I tried to show it to my friends, and so I picked names and utterance and say, well, I ask you about your name, it tells me you had a car crash because some friend of mine had a car crash, and so it was pretty amazing, although it was very stupid. But
So in terms of technology, back from you first saw this to today, what's different?
well, chatbots are now are very popular, and that's mainly because we had artificial intelligence has been passing through a lot of steps, different steps. Um, Computer science. I am a teacher of computer science, and computer science it's a lot of noise. Computer science is a young discipline, but in the 50s, where the first programs were made, our mentor, which is Alan Turing, were not even programmed, and he was thinking about artificial intelligence. He thought about artificial intelligence even before writing algorithms. So it's very present, and it was had a fever about 20, 30 years, and after that, people realized nothing could be done on artificial intelligence, and so nobody else decided to work on that. That was until neural networks came about the 80s. So it was the attack to solve problems was not a deterministic one, which followed logical rules, but also was a probabilistic or stochastic method using neural networks. Neural networks require lots of computation, and it was very hard to program neural networks 15 or 20 years ago. Nevertheless, today you can set up a virtual machine on any major provider like Azure or AWS or Google, and set up a TensorFlow or 1,000 computation machines and let them do the math and the processing. And that's the main reason because chatbots are more popular today. It's because the tools are very cheap and are very democratic. Everyone can have 1,000 computers to rent or to buy and program its his virtual assistant.
Okay. And then a few years ago, I believe, 2.5 years ago, I believe, was when I mean, I'm familiar with chatbots myself from time ago. I'm also a computer engineer, so but not too deep. So I'm familiar with them, but it was about until 2 years ago when Facebook opened up their platform. This whole thing just took off. It kind of became like an official rally, because now you have access to all these people, who are having conversations in messaging applications, and therefore, like, this whole hype started. Do you believe, or I mean, you're in the chatbot business. What do you see? Is there a future for chatbots, or is this kind of like just a moment in time where it's just picking up and then it's gonna die down again? How do you see evolving?
Okay, first, Facebook was not the first one to implement chatbots. Telegram did it a year before. The problem is that Telegram is just a network for nerds. I am a huge fan of Telegram, but we've been working with bots even before Facebook launched it. Of course, we've been to the F8 last year, and it was a huge success because if Mark Zuckerberg tells everything's about bots, well, not only nerds are rushing after that, but business people with money and with real people's problem. Because in Telegram we solve nerds' problem, but as a computer science also, I would like to solve real people's problem, my relatives, my daughters, my aunts, and common people. So what was the question? You asked me if it was a fad or, well, this is like everything in technology. Chatbots are like apps, or like operating system, or like web service, or like web development. When the web came out to common people, everybody rushed to make a website. Okay, so after a long time, people said we don't need websites, and it was a hiatus. And after that, we realized that yes, we all need websites. But it's something that's very common in technology, that it is a trend, and chatbots are no exception, that it's overestimated on the short term and underestimated on the short term. This means that you don't have to climb the train at the very early steps, but on the long run, you need to be there. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
So chatbots are here. Every one of us is going to use chatbots every day in 2 or 3 years. This is something that's not happening quite now, but our vision is it will be if you tell me 20 years ago, everybody is going to have a computer on its pocket, and it's a camera, and it's a phone, it's a video recorder. It's something that is going to happen. There's no way out. Unless the machines took over us, there's no way chatbots are not going to be present in 2 or 3 years. This is something that is going to happen but it's not happening now. Also, it's not happening right now. Not everybody is rushing to get its chatbot.
Okay.
But because it was underestimated on the short place, so everybody says about it's a bubble. No, it's not a bubble. It was not as big as you told, but it will be very big very soon.
Okay. So, and with that said, what do you see in per your location in South America, Argentina? How do you see that region adopting chatbots? What is your experience in that?
Well, in Argentina we have a short time problems. We have a lot of instability, social, political. We have our own problems. Which if I go to tell to a CTO of a bank CTO or of a retailer, they are most worried about a small economic tornadoes than about the midterm or the long term, because we are a development country, and people is very short-sighted. Nevertheless, when they know, because they know from their home locations, where if it's a subsidiary of a headquarters based in Europe, they know that this is a trend, and all trends must be followed, because if you don't follow the trend, your competition, so you are going to be very ahead. So like everything in technology, you have to show that chatbots or virtual assistants are solving real people's problems, but you have to compete with accidental problems, economy problems, sociopolitical problems, and legal problems, and you have to compete with that to evangelize business people. So it's very hard. It's very hard in developing countries.
Okay. Okay. So with that said, how do you? I mean, because you've obviously been doing stuff in Argentina. You have a company doing chatbot development. Is that most of your clients in Argentina, or across the world?
We are working in Argentina because we are serving chatbots as a service. So it's not something off the shelf. You don't buy me a chatbot and you self install in your site. We are going on our roadmaps to that place, but this is not the common scenario we're finding. We work with companies, and we have some meetings, and we design the bot, we design the conversations, and it's a process that requires a lot of physical presence in these early stages. Okay, so we have a vision of 2 or 3 years to avoid this, and you need a chatbot. So go to our page, pay a certain fee, and you have your license. You can install it. But this is not the case. We're working with huge companies with huge information databases, and we need to train our chatbots, and we need to model the business processes they have. And this is something that it needs to be done by a human, because although it seems contradictory, and it needs close encounters. So we're working regionally. We're working in Argentina. We're working in Uruguay, in Peru, and we're setting up on Spain, but not far there. In Argentina, there are 2 or 3 companies, not more, making chatbots. So we have a lot of place to grow, and we don't want to enter now a most populated marketplace, but because we have a lot of place to win here, and we need we have a plan that in the next year and the second year to launch to be regional, and then we will try to jump markets.
Okay. Now, what is your okay? Let's do that scenario. How do you go about pitching a chatbot to people? Why should a company embrace the chatbot?
Well, we do pitching because we have a first round investment round, so we know how to do it. And the things we say we say we believe a lot in Pareto rules. Pareto was a Italian economist and said something that everything is about 80-20. And so we believe 80-20. We believe that 80% of conversations can be dealt by a chatbot. A chatbot can solve 80% of the people's problems. And the 20, you leave it to a human, which is it's more emotional and can solve more complex things. But if you are running a business and people need to contact you and people need to self-serve and people need something valuable for your business, 80% of the time the bot can solve that problem. And this is this automation is exactly what we pitch. For example, we have retailing and we have Black Fridays down here too, and we have a lot of that kind of events on the year. And that's the time where humans, we cannot we cannot grow up. If I need two people to answer customer support, and that day I need 100 people because that's are the magnitude that we're working. We prefer a bot because if not, you have to queue people, and people that's going to buy are not willing to wait too much. So we put a bot, and most of the time people feel comfortable and make the business process with the bot. That's the common scenario. And sometimes the bot, the request is very special, or we need something we detect with sentiment analysis. The people don't want to talk to the bot. We put it to a human, okay? So that's the 20% we're dealing with.
Okay. What's the most interesting bot you've developed so far, if you can share that?
We've made a lot of very different bots. We made customer support, voice-assisted bots. We made bots on Messenger. We made bots on Telegram. We made bots on the web. We made bots on call centers when you pick up your phone and talk to a bot. Literally, you talk. That's not an IVR. But the most challenging bot was one we delivered for a regional, it's not regional, for a huge burger company which is present in all the world. That was not founded by Krog, the other one. And we made it in Argentina, and we had a lot of, we need to develop a special language if you want to pick and make a delivery order using a bot. Our first approach was to make the delivery order exactly the same that you made on the phone. But that was not a right approach, and we learned it when we put it in production. We iterated several times until we made a good product, which we have today. Because, for example, on the first the first version, you need to chat to the bot and say, I need a burger. Okay, let's make it big. Okay, so let's add some fries. Let's add, and that's something that it's not just a chat. Mm-hmm. When you talk, you ask, you make orders one after another, and if you make a mistake, you need to go 2-3 steps a step. That's not a good interaction. Our good interaction was to make them visually several options and build a virtual cart, and you can add or remove things using the bot, and you can do it today on production. And we program the bot so it can acknowledge your location and your delivery time, which of the shops would deliver, and how if the delivery had a problem. we were very enthusiastic about writing a bot, and we learned with this bot and with everyone after that we need to take special care on business rules and business process. That making a bot is just an accident. If you're making an app, or you're making a bot, or you're making a website, core of your business is to understand the business rules and the business process and the UX and how to talk to people. So making a bot is secondary. Everyone that enters I tell you, the bot is the less of your problems. Okay, so you have an API, you have some controls. Okay, focus on the business. And after you focus the business, forget all you know about the interaction, because bot interaction is different than app interaction, and it's different than telephone interaction, and it's different than web interaction. That are channels. The channel must support the business rule, but the interaction, the way you talk is very different. And bot interaction is something that we do, but we specialize. We do it very well. Okay, so that was very challenging for us. The learning from that was.
Have you found that there are specific industries that are more keen on adopting chatbots? They're embracing them more than any other?
Yes, customer support is a very hot one because we're very elastic and because knowledge bases are very similar. So if I need to train a bot from a retail with a knowledge base, I can easily make another bot for I don't know, for a telco with a different knowledge base, of course, but they are knowledge based. The business processes are not very complicated. They are not very hard, the business process, because when you have customer support, the scenario is very easy. You need to get some requests from the user and understand what the intention is, and go to the database and give an appropriate access, but you don't have very hard flows or complicated loops or business transaction. So that kind of business are very with a bot. If you have a complicated business process, that is harder to make with a bot, and it's less portable. So if I'm making a bot for a burger company, I cannot easily port it to a retail company because business processes are very different, and I cannot use it in a bank company where you have security constraints and the business flow is very different. So we focus on business flows. And in customer support, yes, they are more similar.
Okay. And what other industry have you found that besides customer support that adopts the chatbots?
Customer support we found very easy to implement on when you have intra companies. Big companies have business rules and have a huge how to make things happen. And when that business rules are on a wiki, are very hard to find, and people don't want to read FAQs. So it's very easy to put a chatbot to send a mail to everyone on the company and say, if you need to understand how our internal process works, ask the chatbot. Because the adoption is 100%, because if you're working on a company, you have to do it. Okay, you don't do a choice to not do it. If you put a business, if you put a customer support for the general people on a website, on the right corner, on the right down corner, people can use it or cannot, because people sometimes is afraid, or you have a phone and you compete, and the adoption of the chatbot is a bit slower. Okay, but the ultimate process is the internal business process. But they are not very showable. I cannot show you 5 of our companies that are working with that because they are confidential. You need an access key to enter that. Okay. But they are very fast to implement, and we work very hard and we monitor all the conversations, and we learn, our algorithms learns every day. So if you ask me something that I don't know, I go to the business owner of that rule, I ask the human, and I train the bot. And we run a regression. So because bots, if you train something, sometimes they forget something that they know. So I need to regression. Yes, that's something that's happening. It's something it's happening with machine learning. Everything. Every time you need to make regressions, so you grow up the cases you are working with, and yes, the bot gets smarter every day.
Okay. Now, you as you've had a bot making company for 2 years. What is the business model? How do you guys approach the offering, and how do you differentiate when as you were saying, there's the barriers to entry to doing chatbots is very low. How do you differentiate?
We differentiate. I can tell you how our visions and our differentials. We charge companies with an initial setup that is very low. Our competitions charge a lot about phase. We don't. We just release the boat. We set up. We charge as a very small setup fee, and we charge for every conversation that went to a lead, with every success conversation. So if you chat with the bot and the bot tells something that is good, we charge you because we think that the case was solved, and we don't want, as a company, our business model does not consist in, this is your chatbot, take it, we train it together, goodbye. And no, we monitor the false positives and the false negatives daily, and we make reports and we retrain it every day. So we don't believe in extraction, requirement extraction. I know everything I need to know about your company. I set up the bot, goodbye. No, we believe, okay, let's do a very small training and put that bot in production and retrain every day. So the bot gets smarter. That's because we learned that it's very hard to know what everybody's going to ask the bot and the way the people ask. And it has cultural implications. We have found that if we're making a retail bot for common people, the questions are very different than if you make, for example, a luxury bot where people is addressing very, very specific the target, and the questions are very different. So we a priori, it's not very hard to know how the questions are going to be. We learn it once the bot is set up and put production, and we retrain it.
Okay.
So that's how, for a small setup fee and a recurrent monthly fee based on conversions. If you talk to my bot and say, I just would like to chat, to make a small chat, we don't charge you because that was not your intention. And we measure if you want to make something with the bot and you cannot achieve it as a miss. So if you're going to customer support and you say, we're working with a telco here, my chip is low, I understand you, sorry, that's a miss for us. And if you come tomorrow again, luckily, and ask the same, the bot needs to understand you. That's a hit, and that's we charge it. Okay.
Awesome.
It's a business success.
Interesting. And okay, so to do this, you guys develop your own platform?
No, we don't. We believe in integration. We are in 2017, so we believe we can make together lots of pieces that are very good on the market. There's no secret. We don't have a machine learning algorithm. We use a combination. We use products from Microsoft, Lewis. We use products from AWS, we use Lex, we use TensorFlow from Google, we use a different, we use with AI recognition, we use Telegram and Facebook and Microsoft Bot Builder as channels, and we integrate them together. And we know, because we have experience, all the things that solutions are good at and bad at. So we can interchange them. So we can work with an NLP, recognition, and 3 months after, we decide that it's not good, especially in Spanish. There are not many good tools in Spanish, and we throw it away. We have the training set, and we test several others, and we choose a winner, and we put in production that. So we measure everything. We can improve our measurements, but we don't develop our own tools. That doesn't mean we don't understand. We have made a lot of courses. I've been studying machine learning a lot of times. I know how the algorithm works. I know what a recurrent neural network is. We know my partner has studied math, has a degree on math. I had a computer science degree, so I know internally how they work. But we don't develop the algorithms. There's another reason for that. If I develop my own algorithm for backpropagation in neural network, I can improve it 2 or 3 times a year. But if I use one of the shelves that AWS has its own or Azure has its own, it's improving every day. So I cannot keep up with that. That's not the time of developing our own solutions, because they're very good ones. But if we have been in this business for the last 10 years, 10 years ago, there was nothing of that on the shelf. 10 years ago, you have to buy a physical machine to host your own web servers. That's something that nobody today does. You go to AWS, you go to Azure, you go to Google and set up a machine as a service. The cognition technology is a service.
Okay, that's interesting. The reason I'm asking is because there's many different types of solutions for chatbots, from the more simple ones up to the advanced, like you're doing yourself. In this case, how do you advise companies to approach whether they do it the simple way with an established platform like Chatfuel, or any of those, versus doing something with a quote unquote custom development company?
Well, we use Chatfuel. We use Chatfuel for prototyping. It's an excellent prototyping machine working. Nobody does it better to develop a flow or something. But the magic in chatbots is when you integrate the customer sites or the customer logic with your own. That is something that Chatfuel cannot do. And that is something that nobody on the shelf can do. If I'm working with a bank and the bank has its own proprietary system, I need to integrate with the APIs. That's something that never, unless you're working with ZenChat or Salesforce or something well established. But when I work with the barrier company has its own machine that delivers the order to the kitchen. So I cannot use Chatfuel, because Chatfuel is not going to knock on the chefs and say, let's make that burger.
Yeah.
So my first approach is use one of the shelf, and when if it's good enough for you, you have a small business, keep it that. There's nothing cheaper, there's nothing better, keep it that. But if you need something more complicated or a business role, you need to enforce some things that happen and are triggered on your own rules and on your own systems, and you need to integrate. If you need to integrate, you cannot use that. You need to use some solution as like we do, and some other chat bot makers are doing on the world. So that's the line I throw. Start with that, and call us after if you need something more complex.
That's very good. The that's good. So beyond besides the applications or chatbots that you've developed, what chatbot applications have you seen lately that caught your attention?
We have not seen many good chatbots because chatbots we study are not are very general purpose, and that's wrong. That's the wrong approach to that's a strong AI is something that's going to happen on the world in the next 10, 20, 30 years, but it's not happening now. So the bots we're seeing are very are not focalized. They are multiple purpose and they can do anything like Siri or like Alexa, and they do a lot and they don't do anything good. We have another development. I have a chatbot on a bank. If you need to know how much money you have on your account, ask it. If you need something else, don't ask him. Talk to another bot. Okay, so we believe that chatbots and bot makers we need to be more focused on that. I wrote a note on Medium about that we're doing science fiction chatbots and not business chatbots. If I work for a retailer, I don't want the first thing I told the retailer is you will have a customer support that will answer exact about your products. If you have the sizes, the colors, the delivery, the shippings, to ask you about the weather or if where they can buy a pizza or something. No, we are going to train it just on your things. And if you ask anything that's not your business, we will politely tell the people that is asking, that's not our business. But we focus everything on business, on our clients' business. So the chatbots we have seen are too ambitious and they are no good. We think that we are very immature, and that's the wrote a note. I use the word immature because we are doing things we would like to have on science fiction, not focusing on chatbots that solve people. People that talk to chatbots need something specific. If you are entering a website and you say chat, you are going to do something related to that website, and you need, as a human, are very focused on what you need. So the chatbots need to be focused also, and that's the main mistake we see on the industry.
Okay, so my next question from that, I think you just answered it, was what functions make a great chatbot experience?
That will be the best chatbot is the shortest one. The one we measure volleys. Volleys are like tennis volleys or volleyball volleys. Are a conversation. You are having a volley with me. You talk very short, and I talk very long. And one volley. We measure that, and we expect some business processes to have small volleys, because if people is focused and has a good intention, the chatbot need to fulfill it very fast, and the people don't want to talk to chatbots. Chatbots are very stupid, and I am as a human. I'm delighted to talk to you that you're a human. I don't want to talk to Eliza or any chatbot. I hate chatbots. I use chatbots when I need something and I need something to fulfill it. But my spare time, my free time, is not talking about with chatbots. It's talking with real people. So a measure is when the conversation lasts short. The shortest the conversation, the greatest. If you make a fulfillment, no. If the chatbot says goodbye, it's not a success. It's a business success. It's not a conversion. We talk about conversions. Conversions are when somebody needs to make something happen, and the bot make it real, and so that's a conversion from the client's point of view.
Okay. Now, do you use any chatbots in your daily life to achieve objectives?
I use weather chatbots because they are very specific. I use Google Maps chatbots are great, and not many more. And that's something I need to evangelize. I use, of course, I use when I need to request a burger, I talk to my own chatbot, which is not my own, it's my clients. But because I know that if I say the words, send me the same order the last time to the last delivery, I can have my order in less than 2 volleys, and that it's amazing for with your friends and say, oh, I made this chatbot, but no, not much more. You can ask me this on next 2 years, and the answer will be very different. We will have an Alexa listening to us, or something. I don't know, or a automated Uber taxi driver, or not. I don't know. But nowadays, I don't use many bots as many as I would like.
Okay. Now, in terms of, I mean, we kind of touched upon it, but I'm going to ask you the question specifically. Is what are the limitations of chatbots as right now, and how do we overcome them?
Well, we overcome them with humans when our client is willing to make a human position. Of course, we have confidence intervals for chatbots when answering. We measure that, and if the chatbot is not confident enough, it delivers the conversation to a human. It delegates it, and the human takes charge of the conversation. Can you rephrase your question? I'm talking too much. Can you rephrase your question again, please?
Yeah. No. The question was, what are the limitations of chatbots, and how do we overcome them?
Okay. So the limitation is when you ask something that the bot is not confident enough. If a human is present, we know if a human can be delivered to a present, the chatbot shuts up. And if the human is not, the bot tries to rephrase and tries to guide the human on how to talk to the stupid chatbot. So if you're making me as a chatbot a question with a very long paragraph and tells a lot of things and subordinate questions, a lot of things. Can you rephrase this as something or something? Or I can say, did you mean that? I will never, as a chatbot, say I don't understand it. That's a rule that it's not. We politely ask the speaker. The speaker is always smarter than the chatbot. That's a rule.
Yeah.
That's today's rule. I don't know if 20 years ago, 10 years from now will be that. But that's our rule. So we overcome that limitation by asking the people to rephrase or showing physically some possible question he is or she is asking us. So if you have a lot of ambiguity and we detect some irony on your speech, we say, are you saying this or you're saying that? And we show possible questions. That's the way we overcome today's, but the technology is evolving very fast. So I don't think this will be necessary in many years from now.
Okay, so that's a good segue to the next question, which is, in general, how do you see the chatbots evolving in the next 5 years from your standpoint?
Well, that's something that is, if chatbots are going to be faster, they are going to handle more and more the context, the conversation context. That's something difficult to handle because the universe of the answers grows if you need to take in account 3 or 4 or 5 volleys like on a chess party above. And if you ask me something and 3 questions after you refrain to the first question, the chatbot will assign a short probability that you are talking that, and that's something that today is not very good because computationally it's very hard to achieve. So most probably the bot will not understand and ask for a rephrase. That is something that as computer grows and machine learning grows and natural language understanding grows better. That is something that in the next years we will need very few rephrasing questions. So the bot will not ask you to rephrase or to disambiguate the things you said. That is something that is going to happen in 1 or 2 years. You will talk like you're talking to me.
Okay. And so in terms of technology, is that something that's going to be driven by the large corporations like Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, Google? How do you see that being evolved?
Unless a unicorn made in some country developed that, yes, we tested a lot of solutions. We tested, I said, Asia. We tested IBM Watson, and we didn't find, because mainly because it's not on our radar, an indie solution for that. And that's because that all of that technologies are free to use. They always charge you for use, but free to set up, I meant. So you can try it very fast and use it very fast and say, okay, IBM's Watson is great, and you test it. If somebody, not a major company, is making an excellent NLP, if I will be aware of it, and I don't know if I can test it. So I cannot predict. We use the major companies because we think they are investing a lot of resources on improving that technologies. Yeah. So if we marry with an independent like us, an independent contractor, it's a little bit riskier. Okay? So we're good with the corporations.
All right. So what are your
huh? I said we are good in them. We don't marry with just one of them. We constantly evaluate them, and we constantly read about people evaluating and comparing them and saying, yes, Microsoft is great for Q&A. Facebook is great for showing objects. So we read them and we offer the clients a mixture of solutions. Okay, sorry for the interruption.
No, that's good. Listen, so I'm out of questions. I can ask you more questions. I don't know if you have something to add additional to what we already talked about.
No, I would like to talk every time I address the companies, I say, okay, all of you don't want to take the risk of being the first on your vertical, on your business segment to use chatbot, because you are afraid of the people. You think that you might have a bad impression. That's not something that has happened to us. But if you're not working today on that, all of your competition will, and you will be late, and the train will be gone for you. So that's something that it's like everything in technology. You have to take a risk with us or with another chatbot maker, and let's work together and let's test it together. Chatbots are very easy to test because you can put a chatbot on your website with a A/B testing. You can A/B test your chatbot on a very small, and if you realize that it's not trained enough, you can shut it down and put it again. They can be delivered very fast and very cheap. It's not something that a physical product that it's delivered to your home and you have to recall it if it has a failure malfunction or something. It's very easy. So let's test it together, because this is not a rush, and this is not something that is arbitrary. This is something that is going to happen now, or in a year, or in 2 years, or in 3 years, but it's going to happen. Nobody doubts us. Nobody says, no, we're going to be to the Stone Age and chatbots will not, never. No, that's something that nothing says that.
All right, and so where can, so whoever, if somebody who listens to our podcast and is interested in reaching out to yourself or your company, how can they find you?
Well, we are Conversa Lab. It's not Conversa Labs. with plural, with an S. It's not with an S. It means conversa, well, from conversation, and lab from laboratory, because we are self-disciplined and we are software engineers and computer scientists, so we believe in labs. .com. You have a form. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. It's Conversa Lab with B. I don't know how it's saying in English. How do you say the B? The last letter B.
The V, like V, yeah, like that.
The B. Yeah,
like conversation.
And Conversa Lab, you can talk to us, you can write us, you can talk to us in Facebook, on Twitter, and you can tell us about your problems, and we can deliver together a solution. You can see there are some of our production chatbots, and you can see there are some of our press releases. I'm afraid most of them, we had a lot of news coverage down here in Argentina. We've been on all major newspapers. Sorry, but that publications are in Spanish, but you can follow me on Medium. I write both in Spanish and in English. I have several notes. Some notes have about 15,000 views, and well, we believe we are leading the region on chatbots. That's our vision. So we can contact us in English or Spanish, and yes, we can answer you. We can answer all the questions. I hope you post on the YouTube link our link, so anyone can reach this.
Yeah, no worries about that. I'll publish your information in both the blog post and the YouTube video, and so they can reach you. Maximiliano, thank you so much for for joining me and sharing your knowledge with me. I learned quite a bit today. Thank you so much for that.
No, thank you for the interview. Regards.
Thank you.